Hi everybody, it's Miss Williams. We're going to talk about the empires of Mesopotamia. Now, as you can see, we have many different empires that we're going to focus on, mainly these five. So we have the Akkadian, the Babylonian, the Hittite, the Assyrian, and the Neo-Babylonian. So let's start with the Akkadian Empire. The Akkadians came from northern Mesopotamia. They conquered city-states around 2300 BCE. By doing this, they created the world's first empire, and we can see how massive this empire actually was. You control all of the lands that run between the two rivers, plus a little bit of extra from the Persian Gulf up to the Mediterranean Sea. Now Sargon, who was the leader of the Akkadian Empire, he became the first king. He created his empire through powerful military strategies that helped them win the territory that they now have. To keep the empire, though, he used smart political strategies like making sure that the governors of the city-states were loyal to him. If they weren't, he replaced them with his own men. Now, he actually started the whole trend of demanding that his family continue to rule after his death. So once he ruled for 56 years and passed away, the title of king went on to his son. The Akkadians continued to use and improve irrigation techniques to farm with, and they also used cuneiform to write with. Now, they continued to be polytheistic, and if we remember that from yesterday and the day before, polytheism is really just the belief in more than one god or goddess. And they had religion at the center of their society. They became especially known for their three-dimensional and relief sculptures. As you can see here to your right, this sculpture is celebrating a military victory of Sargon's grandson, 2 generations after he had passed away, King Naram Sin. Here he is in the middle. Now, once the Akkadian Empire fell, we moved into the Babylonian Empire. This was until Hammurabi decided to conquer the rest of Mesopotamia and created the Babylonian Empire. Now, we can see here it's not as large as the Akkadian Empire, but if we know Hammurabi, we know he's not going to stop at that. Now, remember, he decided to create the Code of Law, which was 282 laws that was used to unify the empire and preserve order. They also used cuneiform to write with. They used it for both messages, stories, and to keep track of taxes, trade, and crop production. They continued to improve the irrigation systems and created major trade centers. They also continued to be polytheistic, just like the Akkadians, and had religion at the center of their society. They were master jewelry makers, stonemasons, and builders. After the Babylonian Empire, we learned into the Hittite Empire. The Hittite people lived in northern Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Turkey and northwestern Syria. We can see it located here. They established one of the greatest empires, ranging from 1400 to 1160 BCE. That is 340 years of Hittite rule. Okay, they set up the capital of Hattusa, which was located in modern-day Turkey. You can see it's northern part of Mesopotamia above where the rivers connect. The Hittites depended on agriculture to survive, just like everyone else. This was the first empire, though, to make iron weapons. Their architecture was inspired by both the Sumerians and the Babylonians. They worshipped many gods and goddesses, and whenever they conquered a civilization, they introduced that civilization's gods into their worship. Women were respected and well educated. They were allowed to choose their occupations and even had large leadership roles within their religion. After that, we run into the Assyrian Empire. The Assyrian Empire ruled from 1000 to 606 BCE. They were known as the warrior civilization. During their rule, they took over a vast majority of the Mesopotamian region. In a short span of time of 396 years, the Assyrians created one of the largest empires of their time. Look at that picture. Okay, we started in 824 BCE with this pinkish colored empire. See, it's about the same size as the Akkadian Empire and the Babylonian Empire, but look at the domination that happened. We're reaching even over into Egypt, right? You're covering more ground than is covered at any point in time in these other empires in just 396 years. The Assyrians were supported by growing wheat and barley, so agriculture was at the center of their society as well. They built chariots, though, with iron wheels, and they could be pulled by 2 horses. They built beautiful palaces and cities. The Assyrians worshipped many gods and goddesses, but they also feared demons and evil spirits, and that's a first for us. We haven't really run into an empire that really talks about that. Assyrian women had fewer rights than men, though, and they were a patriarchal society. So the Neo-Babylonian, and if you remember from previous slides, we've seen this word Babylonian before. Neo simply just means new. Okay, so after the Assyrian Empire, the Babylonians regained control of Mesopotamia after the fall of Nineveh. This led them to establishing the Neo-Babylonian Empire. So like I said, Neo means new. Okay, we have a new king, and he wanted to expand his empire whenever he could. It's a very decently sized empire, guys, especially to be recoming from the Babylonian Empire. The Babylonians were very skilled in math and astronomy. They made discoveries that led to the 60-minute hour and 7-day week. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon were one of the few wonders of the ancient world, and as you can see here, they were absolutely beautiful. Now, please remember that this is in desert territory. Okay, so you've got a desert landscape all around you, and then these beautiful flowers and beautiful plants coming out of the ground. I can imagine that that would be absolutely stunning. Now, to recap what we've talked about 5 different empires. Okay, the Akkadian, the Hittite, the Babylonian, the Assyrian, and the Neo-Babylonian. Within those empires, a lot of them had similar beliefs. They had centered religion around each one of them. They wanted to gain as much control and as much land as they did. I'm not sure many of them gained as much control as Hammurabi did with his unifying laws across the land. But with the developments of different empires, we get to see how this goes once we start talking about other cultures and other countries across the ancient world. Guys, this is Miss Williams. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. And that's finishing up for us.